PFL 2022 hashtag 2, which is more like the week 2 of the regular season. We got Bruno Capalosa, the reigning, defending PFL heavyweight champion, who's got a lot of power in his hands, taking on Stuart in the main event. Someone is getting knocked out in that fight. We got Ryoji, Kudo, and Lafrene in the featherweight division. Matthew Scheffler and Ante Lija in the heavyweight division. Ferreira, Jamel Jones at heavyweight. Lance Palmer, Chris Wade at featherweight. Kyle Bogniak, Bubba Jenkins at featherweight. Denis Goldstoff, Sam K at heavyweight, Adam Koresh, Clifton Abreu at heavyweight, Shaman Moris and Boston Salmon at featherweight, and Alejandro Flores and Sababalahi and the featherweight division. A few cancellations on the card, one of them being Ali Isaev versus Clifton Abreu. The only reason Adam Koresh is coming in, he was fighting on the Challenger Series, but it is still a short notice fight for Adam Koresh there. Bubba Jenkins, Sung Bing Jo is another fight. That is now Bubba Jenkins, Kyle Bogniak coming over from the MMA promotion to the PFL on a short notice. So we got some solid matchups here. It should be a very, very solid card. We're going to go into the first one here in the PFL featherweight division. Alejandro Flores and Sababalahi in the featherweight division. Now, there are plenty of path to victories for both guys. Sababalahi, we already know the way he's going to win this fight is use that wrestling, take the fight down, and grind a decision. He got a first-round knockout last time against Abu Tankara, and I'm going to be honest, that's a pretty solid win, as he is a Bellator fighter. He just fought Ciaran Clark and was previously on a 5-fight win streak and then on a 2-fight win streak, and he knocked him out easily in the very first round. Only lost to Sashma Sharma by a split decision and Lom Ali Eskiju by a unanimous decision. He's got a lot of experience under his belt, fighting very legit guys. I don't really see anyone on here with a losing record. Literally no one on here has a losing record, so he's definitely fighting some legit competition, and he's taking them down, he's controlling them, he's grinding out decisions, he's ground and pounding them, he's submitting them. He's doing very good on the ground. Alejandro Flores, on the other hand, that's kind of the aspect of the game that he kind of lacks in. It is going to be the grappling, the wrestling, and things like that. Now, he does have a few knockout wins and a few submission wins on his record. 7 knockouts, 2 submissions, and the majority coming by a decision. But if he's going to lose this fight, it's going to be by finish. He has about 3 finishes on his losses, and none of them are coming by a decision right there. So Sababalahi definitely has a very, very good shot at going out there, taking the fight down, and finishing Alejandro Flores, who is going to be a slight favorite right here. Right now, the odds have Alejandro Flores at -140. Sababalahi at +110 right there. I do agree that it is a close fight, in that Alejandro could definitely take the fight, defend the takedowns, keep the fight on the feet, and just grind out a decision, just outstriking Sababalahi for 3 rounds. But I do actually lean Sababalahi to out-wrestle Alejandro Flores. We've seen what happens when Alejandro fights those explosive wrestlers, the guys that have really good guillotines, and good submission skills, ground and pound wrestling, and he doesn't really fare too good against those type of opponents. So I think it's a very 50-50 fight, very close, but I'm going to lean Sababalahi to go out there, take the fight down, and grind for a little bit, and then get a submission in the second round. Shaman Moris and Boston Salmon in the featherweight division. Now, 2 31-year-olds that are pretty much the exact same age, aside from 1 month and 1 week. Pretty much the same height and pretty much the same reach, with a slight 1.5 inch edge in height and reach for Boston Salmon. But that's not going to really matter. It's going to be a striking fight. No one in this fight with Shaman Moris and Boston Salmon, in my opinion, is really going out there with the expectation of grinding out a decision with the wrestling and with the grappling. I really doubt that's going to happen. Shaman Moris, I mean, yes, he does have a few submission wins on his record, as he did get that one over Jesse Stern, but Boston Salmon is no Jesse Stern. It's going to be a striking fight. Shaman Moris has the power advantage. He has the speed advantage, in my opinion. Volume, it's pretty even in that department, but he's going to be landing the much harder shots. He easily knocked out Lazar Stojanovic in the second round right there, beat Julio Arce, Matt Sales, Luis Palomino, Robbie Peralta right there, only losing to ranked Marlon Moraes, ranked top 5s, beat Magomed Sharipov, ranked Sodiq Yusuf, top 25 UFC featherweight Andre Fili, and then the PFL co-main event, like right almost there as the champion in this featherweight division. So all of the losses are against really legit guys, and Boston Salmon is not really one of those legit guys. Yes, he's faced some solid guys as well, Randy Costa and Akali Taha, but none of those losses there are anywhere near the losses of Shaman Moris. And you kind of add that together with Shaman just being the overall better fighter. He's got more power in his hands, he's got more speed. I don't think he's going to knock out Boston Salmon, because I think Boston Salmon is going to look to get a few wins here in the PFL. I can't see him getting knocked out here, although it's very likely. Shaman Moris knocks him out, but I'm going to lean towards Shaman Moris landing the heavier shots, landing about the same amount of shots as Boston Salmon, but just landing the more effective shots that will count on these judges' scorecards. I got Shaman Moris winning by a decision there. His odds right now, -180. A little bit of money is coming in on Boston Salmon, but I'm going to go Shaman Moris by a decision. Klidson Brew and Adam Koresh in the heavyweight division. Now, the odds, to start off with, had Klidson Brew as the favorite, -150. And then they had Adam Koresh, the undefeated Israeli prospect. He's a lot smaller than Klidson Brew. They have him as the underdog at first. Now, the line is kind of switched over to having Adam Koresh as a pretty big favorite, to be honest. -170 at the moment. I think it's a pretty 50-50 fight. I probably wouldn't have Adam Koresh as that big of a favorite, but it should be close. Klidson Brew is not really doing good as of recent. He's got a lot of losses recently and not a lot of wins recently. Coming off a loss to Jamel Jones in the first round by knockout. Shamil Gamzato by decision. Magomed Ankalaev by decision. That's pretty impressive not to get knocked out by Magomed Ankalaev there, but he did beat Victor Nemkov, which is a solid win, and a lot of good wins on the regional scene as well. I don't see anyone with a losing record except for maybe 3 guys out of all of these wins here. He did lose to Bruno Capalosa, but his chin held up till the third and final round. I think this is actually going to go all the way. I've seen the only guys that are able to knock out Klidson Brew were Jamel Jones right there with ground and pound, and then Bruno Capalosa. Adam Koresh does have power. He did show that in the last fight with Chad Johnson, knocking him out in the first round, getting a lot of knockout wins right there, but I don't think he's going to knock out Klidson Brew. I think Klidson wants to survive here. He's going to want to survive the really big shots that Adam Koresh is going to be throwing at him. He's just going to survive. He's not going to win the fight or anything like that. I do believe Adam Koresh has pretty much the same power as Klidson Brew. The striking's pretty even, but the pressure, the volume does go Adam Koresh. The wrestling and grappling does go Adam Koresh. So I'm going to go a grinding out decision. I know a lot of you guys are already going to be thinking, how in the world do you had these heavyweights going for the $1 million, trying to get that 6 points to advance themselves higher in the PFL playoffs? I don't know. I think Adam Koresh is not that type of powerful guy. He's only 237 pounds. He's not the biggest guy for the heavyweight division, and Klidson has only been knocked out by Jamel Jones and Bruno Capalosa. Didn't even get knocked out by Magomed Ankalaev, and there's no way Adam Koresh is anywhere near the skills and power of Magomed Ankalaev. So I'm going to go Adam Koresh. I think he grinds out a 30-27 unanimous decision. Denis Goldstoff and Sam K in the heavyweight division. If you look at the UFC card, Alexander Romanov, Chase Sherman, pretty much the same thing, in my opinion, is going to happen here. Yes, there is a possibility that Sam K could go out there and just start throwing bombs and knock out Denis Goldstoff. That is possible, but Sam K is a light heavyweight. He is no heavyweight fighter. 8 wins and 5 losses, losing to guys that are almost even records right there, 4-2, 6-2, 8-4, 2-0, and then a 2-2-1 guy. This is a huge step up. I mean, the farthest, biggest experienced opponent that he's ever had in his MMA career, and he's moving up to the heavyweight division. I mean, yes, he's had a few fights in the heavyweight division in the past, but he's a very small, very small heavyweight fighter. I mean, he's going to be 2 inches smaller than Denis Goldstoff. He's going to have a 3-inch reach disadvantage than Denis Goldstoff. Denis is going to be the better wrestler. He's the better grappler. He's going to go out there with the better striking as well. I think on the feet, yes, maybe Sam K has the power advantage, but I don't think he's going to knock out Denis Goldstoff. Yes, Ante Lija beat him. Ali Isaev knocked him out right there. Sam K's not going to do that. Sam K's going to have to close that height, close that reach. He's going to walk right in to a takedown from Denis Goldstoff, and Denis is going to ground and pound Sam K and TKO him in the first or second rounds. Kyle Bochniak and Bubba Jenkins in the featherweight division. Bubba Jenkins, wrestler, grappler type of guy, just kind of grinding out those decisions, maybe getting a few submission wins here and there. Got some good wins in the PFL last season, Lance Palmer and then Bobby Muffet, but then he fought Chris Wade, and that was a little bit too much for Bubba Jenkins. I mean, he got a little bit gassed out in that fight, and Chris Wade, just showing the dog that he is, just kind of grinded to that decision there, but he beat guys like Lance Palmer, Bobby Muffet, Lucas Martins, Elias Buges, I'm not going to say that name, but he did lose to Georgie Karakanyan, Ali Bago, Georgie Karakanyan again, and then LaRue Burley. A lot of guys that are either knocking him out or they are submitting him. So Kyle Bochniak is, of course, a live underdog right here. 11 wins and 5 losses. He's not necessarily a finisher. Like pretty much all of his wins are all decisions right there, but he's beaten some really legit guys. Enrique Barzola is probably the most legit win on his record. Carlton Minus, a decent win right there. Brandon Davis, a decent win, but he's fighting killers, man. Jeremy Kennedy when he was undefeated. Zabit Magomed Sharipov in a war. Hakeem Dawodu in a split decision. There's no way I'm going to say Bubba Jenkins all day, because, dude, Kyle Bochniak can make this a war. He can make the cardio Bubba Jenkins drain out and just make it a war in the striking, which Kyle Bochniak will have the advantage. So I'm not going to say Kyle Bochniak is going to win the fight, but I'm not saying it's a lock on Bubba Jenkins and either. I'm still going to lean Bubba Jenkins out wrestling and out grappling, controlling the fight on the ground for 3 rounds and winning a decision, but you never know with Kyle Bochniak. The man does know how to survive, and he does know how to put it on you in the later rounds. So I'm going to go Bubba Jenkins out wrestling to a decision right there. Lance Palmer and Chris Wade in the featherweight division. Both guys having a little bit of a rough featherweight division, last year in PFL. Chris Wade lost to Movli Khaibulaev in a unanimous decision. Lance Palmer went 0-2, losing to Bubba Jenkins and Movli Khaibulaev. He was doing really good before that. Alexander de Almeida, Alex Gilpin twice, and then plenty of other guys. But last year, man, it was just not the year for him. Bubba Jenkins just out-wrestled him. He outstruck him. Movli Khaibulaev out-wrestled him. He outstruck him. Chris Wade. Now he's going to fight Chris Wade, who only lost to Movli Khaibulaev. Beat Bubba Jenkins, who did beat Lance Palmer. So if you want to put in some MMA math, that could automatically lead you to believe Chris Wade is going to win. But we got to look at the height. We got to look at the reach. He's going to be taller. He is going to be lengthier than Lance Palmer. Striking wise, I'm not going to necessarily say that one guy is going to just absolutely destroy the other on the feet, because it is very, very even, but I do lead Chris Wade with the volume and with the height and reach that he will have. It's going to force Lance Palmer to come into him, which is going to have him eat a few leg kicks, a few jabs, some 1-2s, and things of that nature. So I think Chris Wade deserves a slight striking advantage, and Bubba Jenkins was able to destroy Lance Palmer in the wrestling. Chris Wade was able to destroy Bubba Jenkins in the wrestling. I don't think Lance Palmer is going to destroy Chris Wade. I would be so surprised if that was able to happen here. So I think Chris Wade defends the takedowns, keeps the fight on the feet, and edges out a 29-28 decision. It's so close either way. I mean, look at this, 35% and 94% going decision, 90% going decision. It's very hard to finish either guy, so yeah, I also got Chris Wade winning by a 29-28 decision. Renan Ferreira and Jamel Jones in the heavyweight division. It might be Ferreira, but I'm really not too sure. Renan is a very solid prospect, 8 wins and 2 losses, the tallest, lengthiest guy in the heavyweight division I've honestly ever saw, maybe except for Stefan Struve or something like that, but an 85-inch reach, 6'8" tall, compared to Jamel Jones, who is 8 inches smaller and has a reach that is 10 inches smaller. Jamel Jones, he's a good wrestler. I mean, he's okay on the ground with taking you down, ground pounding you and things like that, but he's been knocked out so many times. Bruno Capalosa, William Knight, Mike Rodriguez, Anton Barzin, Myron Dennis right there, and then I believe that's it for the knockout losses, but he's been knocked out a lot by much worse strikers. Anton Barzin, Mike Rodriguez, I would say that's it for the better strikers. But yeah, Renan Ferreira is a much better striker than those guys. It's going to force, with the height and reach, Jamel Jones is going to have to close that distance. He's going to walk into some huge shots on the feet and get knocked out there. Or maybe Jamel Jones lands a takedown, but it's not necessarily saying that if he lands a takedown, he's going to control Renan Ferreira, because Renan is very, very strong, and he's got really good submissions off the back. Look at that triangle that he got on Jaron Vandera over there inside the LFA in the main event. So there's no way I'm going to say it's a lock right there for Renan Ferreira, because yes, there's a possibility Jamel Jones could grind out a decision in the wrestling. That's about it. That's all he can really do. On the feet, Renan Ferreira is going to destroy him. On the ground, he could submit him. So I'm going to go Renan Ferreira by knockout. I think he knocks him out on the feet right there. Solid fight in the heavyweight division. Ante de Lija and Matthew Scheffler in the heavyweight division. Ante de Lija, 31 years old, a lot bigger than Matthew Scheffler. Matthew Scheffler just fought in the light heavyweight division. Let me say that one more time. He fought in the light heavyweight division against Azamat Mirzakhanov, got knocked out easily in the first round. Before that, fought 2 years, 6 months ago, and got decision win and a ground up on TKO win. Then he beat a 22-22 Jose Rodrigo Guilec. That is about it. He's way smaller in height, way smaller in reach, way smaller in size, of course. Ante de Lija can beat him wherever he wants. Wrestling, grappling, jiu-jitsu, ground and pound, size, strength, height, speed, power. It does not matter. Ante de Lija by knockout in the first or second rounds. Brendan Lafrene and Ryoji Kudo in the featherweight division. Ryoji Kudo, a solid prospect. I mean, 29 years old, but surprisingly, he's coming off a loss in his last fight against Keisuke Sasu right there by majority decision for the belt in that promotion. Now, he's a solid prospect for a reason, in that he's very, very solid at getting finished. He's got 3 first-round knockout wins in a row, but that's pretty much the only way he's going to win. Every single time, not every single time, but mostly when you see the fight get to the later rounds with Ryoji Kudo, he tends to not really land as impactful shots. His cardio starts to drain a little bit, his wrestling gets worse, his striking gets worse, like most MMA fighters, but that is really his only real path to victory, is that first round knockout. Brendan Lafrene is a guy that it's going to be very, very tough to knock him out, as he's been in so many split decisions. Tom Duquesnoy right there, Mike Wilkinson was a unanimous decision, Pat Healy split decision, and then Movlid Kaibulaev. They do not like him on those judges' scorecards, but he's never been knocked out before. I do not think Ryoji is going to knock him out. Brendan Lafrene is going to go out there, outstrike him, in my opinion. He's honestly going to be the better striker. Maybe not in terms of power in that first round, but after the first round, Brendan Lafrene is going to have more volley, more speed, more technical striking. He's got the wrestling advantage, the grappling advantage. He's got everything at that point in the fight, and he's coming off a lot of decisions, a few knockout wins here and there. I'm going to go with decision here. Ryoji Kudo, I think will do enough to survive, so I'm going to go Brendan Lafrene, just using all of his advantages, which is pretty much everywhere, to get a unanimous decision win right there. Bruno Capalosa and Stuart Austin in the heavyweight division. I'm going to keep this one short and sweet. Bruno Capalosa by knockout in the first and second round. Now, maybe I won't keep it that sweet, but still, Bruno Capalosa is an absolute beast, man. I've been talking about this guy since he was about to fight Ante de Lija, when he was like a 4-1 underdog. I mean, he was a humongous underdog. At what? 5-1 underdog. I was even wrong about that. An even bigger underdog against Ante de Lija right there. Now, he knocked him out in 46 seconds, and the reason that I was like, no, there's no way he should be that big of a favorite is because the fight before that, man, he fought Yuri Prochazka. Yes, he got knocked out in 1 minute and 23 seconds. Yes, he got knocked out by Teodoris Axtoulis, lost to Emiliano Sordi, and a lot of other very solid guys. But if you watch that Yuri Prochazka fight, the man rocked Yuri Prochazka. Almost knocked him out in that first round. Then he got knocked out after that. But that was all I really needed to know. This is a close fight with Ante de Lija, because he has that power to almost knock out Yuri Prochazka, a future UFC title challenger. So we saw what he was able to do last year in 2021. Knock out Ante de Lija, knock out Moris, and then knock out Jamel Jones. Then beat Ante de Lija by a decision. It was crazy. I mean, this dude had an amazing 2021. He's going to have an amazing 2022 as well, as he is fighting Stuart Austin right there, who is coming off, guess what, let's see if I can get it, a knockout loss to Renan Ferreira in his last fight. He lost to Evgeny Arokin right there by knockout as well. There's really nowhere Stuart Austin can win this fight. Yes, maybe he can go out there, take the fight down, use the wrestling and grappling, but every round starts on the feet. every round. Bruno Capalosa is going to keep the fight on the feet, and he's going to knock him out in the first or second rounds. Really good fight in the heavyweight division. But yeah, guys, that is my full card prediction for PFL Week 2, 2022 regular season. I got Bruno Capalosa by knockout, Brendan Lafrene by a decision, Ante Lija by knockout, Ferreira by knockout, Chris Wade by a decision, Bubba Jenkins by decision, Denis Goldstoff by knockout, Adam Koresh by a decision, Shaman by a decision, and Sababalahi by a decision. Cannot wait for this card right here. Make sure you guys hit the like button. Make sure you guys subscribe. Turn on those notifications. And if you want the bets that we will be making for every single one of these cards, go to the last 10 seconds of this video or any other of my videos on this channel. Click the profile picture of BERT MMA on the left side of your screen. Should be somewhere around this range. And make sure to click that. But thank you guys for watching that video. Make sure to like, subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one. Let's go.